I am working on improving my needlework, so I decided to make myself a junk journal for the purpose. And because I'm kinda cheap, so I'm making it from things I found around the house, which is how junk journals get their name. My thinking is, I'll want paper pages and fabric pages. Fabric for stitching on and the paper for notes. And because I plan on sewing in samples, I'll make the journal with extra wide spine so the pages can fill up my book. I have a family-size box of cornflakes. The sides of the box are twice the width of regular cereal boxes, so there's lots of space for my book to grow into. I'll use cardboard from picture frames to reinforce the cereal box, since the box alone would be a little bit floppy. For paper, I'm using brown paper that they use to cushion packages. And oh yeah, the fabric pages are cotton muslin. The muslin is usually €3 a meter, so pretty affordable. At first, I thought about cutting up old clothes to keep with the junk journal ethos, but I decided I have the muslin, I might as well use it. Alright, to start with, I undid the cereal box and measured the enforcing cardboard to see how much I'll have to cut away. And luckily, it turns out I just have to cut one side in half and remove the top and bottom flaps, and then the size will work perfectly. To reinforce the, hinges of the book, the bit where the cover meets the spine, that bit. To reinforce that bit, I'm gluing in strips of cotton, so even if the cardboard gives up, the book will still not fall apart. I let that dry for an hour and then decided to forge ahead, even though the glue was still wet. But I got excited. So I cut the spine for the book, and the 2 bits of cardboard for the front and the back were already right size. So I used more glue to reinforce the cereal box, and off camera added 2 more strips for the corners. Now it was time to map out where the paper would be sewn into the spine. I'm going to make 6 lots of paper and fabric. Those are called signatures if I remember correctly. I made notes but I can't find them right now, so I think they're called signatures. Now, the cardboard I used is too thick to use an awl, so I'm using a rotary tool with a tiny drill bit to make holes in the spine. And yes, I am using a mask to protect my eyes, don't worry. Alright, the book cover is ready to go, so it's time to set up the signatures. I cut some strips of cotton and ironed some paper. Now I'm ripping them with a ruler. The way I set up my signatures is 1 sheet of paper and 2 pieces of fabric, another sheet of paper, 2 pieces of fabric, and on top another sheet of paper. So I'll have space for notes next to each piece of fabric. It will make sense once things come together, I hope. Alright, first signature all done. Now, to the sewing in. I've already done a few because this is literally the first book I've ever made and I wanted to try a few things out first before filming myself. I'm using pretty thick linen thread and a sturdy needle because it needs to go through all the sheets in the signature. Also, really important, well, I found it very helpful. Give yourself lots of extra thread. It makes sewing in signatures so much easier if you can keep things slack as you're sewing it in and then tighten it up at the end. I marked the place where the needle needs to go through each signature and I already pre-drilled the holes in the spine. So now I just need to sew in and out in a sort of figure 8, then pull it tight and make a double knot to tie off. Now I've sewn in all the signatures and added a cover page that is a piece of wallpaper. I also added some glue on the spine to lock in the threads. Now to make a nice cover. To keep with the theme of the journal, I'm making a fabric cover. I like the gray fabric and I definitely want a band of the print on the bottom. And I was thinking about whether or not to add a bit of crochet lace on top, but in the end I decided it looked a bit too, I don't know, floofy? I did some ironing off camera, and now I'm attaching the print to the backing fabric. And yes, I'm wearing a robe, don't judge. I'm making the fold over on the cover extra big, so I can use it to store loose paper or maybe add some pins and needles that I can use then in the book. I'm doing the back off camera because it's really awkward to keep things in frame. And it's finished! I started the first entry so you can see kind of how I want to use it. I made notes on the left, this entry is about Valentino roses, and then I illustrate each step on the fabric on the right. This entry isn't finished yet, but you can sort of imagine what will happen in this junk journal. Where the signatures meet, I have two paper pages next to each other, so I'll use those for quotes maybe, or pattern ideas, something like that. I also have a bunch of space between signatures, so when I run out of space in the signatures that are already there, I can decide if I want a second journal or I can sew in extra signatures. Oh boy, I love this journal and I'm really excited to learn some stuff. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe?